Supernatural Season 11, Episode 11, Into the Mystic. This is definitely a really great episode. It was really funny. I loved the creature design. I wish the creature was in it a bit more. It kind of got defeated fairly easily, but there's obviously a lot of other stuff going on with this episode, so I was okay with how they defeated it. But this was a really fun episode. We get introduced to two really great characters that by then, like Mildred and Eileen, I was like, I kind of want them to have their own show because I really enjoyed both those characters. I'm pretty sure Eileen is the first deaf character they've ever had in Supernatural. I could be wrong, it's been 11 seasons. But I thought that was really cool. I was like, that's something that I can't remember them ever doing. It's probably, I mean, even if they've done it before, it hasn't been very common. So I love the fact that they introduced a deaf character. That was really cool. We got a new sigil. I don't remember ever seeing that sort of magnetic tether sigil, which I thought was a really awesome ability, and it seems to get anything. It got Sam when she found him, and it actually got the Banshee at the end of the episode. So seemingly, it's just like, all right, I made the sigil, or whoever does it, whatever their target is. Seemingly, it goes for exactly whatever their target is, because even at the end, both the Banshee and Dean were near it, so it's like only the Banshee got sucked up to the wall. But I thought that was really cool. I don't remember ever seeing that before. Mildred was hilarious with Dean. I thought that was going to be, because that's something they have done before where someone like hits on Sam or hits on Dean. And this was just like, at first it was like just genuine, like she was actually hitting on him. And then it was kind of like she was just messing with him just to mess with him. And that made it even better. Like when they were sitting at the sunset, which was a really great moment when she's talking about, follow your heart, and just, have a moment where you just sit and look at the sunset and, kind of think through things that have happened or might happen in the future. And, he's like, your hand's still on my leg, and she's just like, I can move it up. He's like, okay, like, I gotta get up now. That was a really, really funny moment, but it was like the perfect combination, and I felt like that was this whole episode. It was the perfect combination of the really good drama and really, really funny moments. And of course we have Lucifer as Cass, which was really great because we got to see him in the beginning, and he kills the angel, which is the one from the trailer, so I knew he was done for. And after that, we kind of still get to see Cass as Cass, which I thought was really cool because I thought for sure it was mostly going to be Misha Collins as Lucifer inside of Cass, but he still kind of just got to play a Cass role in this episode, which I like because I was like, man, with Lucifer, taking over, we aren't going to get to see, real Cass kind of come through in the next, I don't know how long, I would assume not until the finale. Like, who knows how long he's actually going to be possessing Cass. I honestly hadn't considered that until just now, how long Lucifer might actually possess Cass's body. But, it was really cool to get that. I was like, all right, so it'll be a nice blend as he's kind of keeping his cover. But, of course, when he's going through the forest looking at trees and, like, smelling leaves and stuff, we'll get to see him kind of act like Lucifer. So I like that balance that they had in this episode. I'm curious to see how they continue that balance and really what they do with Lucifer in Cass's body. Because, of course, he can't be around Sam and Dean if they encounter another angel, or if they even encounter another demon, because no one's going to see Cass. They're going to see the angel, or whoever it is. So I'm curious to see how long that really lasts before he's like, oh, I'm busted, and then he takes off, because that's probably what he's going to do. Or he might try to kill Dean and be like, I'll get you later, Sam, or something like that. But I'm looking forward to what they do with his character, like how far he's going to kind of push really staying in disguise, because he does seem actually committed. I was surprised, honestly. He seemed like he was actually committed to taking down Amara, which, I mean, I know that was the whole point, and he knows it's the darkness. Everyone's kind of got to get rid of it. But I was kind of surprised. He was like a hard worker. Like, he was actually studying to get rid of Amara, and I was like, okay, that, I know that was kind of the point of him trying to get Sam to accept him, but I still didn't expect him to really work hard at it. I thought he would kind of just be like, it'll happen when it happens, and I'll just blow her up or something like that. I thought he'd be super cocky, but he's actually like working hard trying to find her and draw her out. And his plan is at this point seemingly to use Dean because he found out about the attraction and everything. So right now that's kind of his biggest lead. And I doubt we'll have that because once again, if Amara sees Cass, it'll be like, oh, you're not that, you're not that angel I dealt with last time. You're totally different. And I'm sure she'd recognize Lucifer as well since he was like the one to really take her down. But I thought it was cool. Nice, nice good balance. Back to like, the main part of the story. Really, really fun. Like I said, the design for the Banshee I thought was really awesome. I love the way they did that because every once in a while we get like the CG creatures and stuff. And this one I just thought was really nice and creepy. I was like, that looks really creepy. They have like the flowing hair, the flowing dress where she has no legs and she's like, I don't want to say a typical specter, but a ghost. She doesn't have legs, or seemingly a ghost, a banshee. And I was like, it just looks good. She looks super creepy. The sunken eyes. There was one scene. I think it was when Marlene saw her coming down the hallway, or there was like another scene where the banshee was chasing someone, and it kind of cut away, but her mouth like had a light in it, like even her mouth was lighting up and stuff. And I was like, they didn't need to do that little very minute detail, but they did, and I was like, it looks creepy. It looks really cool. Like I said, it kind of sucks that they actually beat it because I was like, man, this is probably the first time in forever. Honestly, I don't think I've ever wanted one of the creatures to stay that outside of like an angel or a demon that I just thought was a cool character. This was just like a wild spirit, and I was like, I kind of want this creature to stick around because I think the design on it is just really creepy. Like it obviously didn't like scare me or anything, but I was like, in the right situation, it certainly could have, and that's what I loved about it. It was very, very supernatural and sort of typical supernatural, or it's just like that just looks insanely scary if you randomly saw it. So really loved the creature. Crazy how we never had banshees on here before. I couldn't believe that. Because I mean they're banshees. I know what banshees are, and it was just like, huh. They went through the lore, and I was like, I guess they've never done banshees, which it just blew my mind that they even mentioned that. And of course we find out that there are good banshees and bad banshees, but it was cool. And it eats the brains of people, which was crazy. Of course, which this becomes a big plot point at the end of the episode, but it goes after people who are vulnerable, and that led to two really great moments because, well, I shouldn't say great, but development-wise, it was really great for the episode. But them explaining that Eileen as a baby could hear the Banshee scream, I thought was really cool, and that was why her ears were bleeding. Because initially I was like, I have no idea what's happening, because it starts off with these two people. Seemingly, I was honestly like, what year is this? I honestly thought it was like the 1800s or something. And of course, they did it like people, I don't know their exact accents, but it was like pseudo-Scottish in a sense. So I was like, alright, this is something like super, super long ago because they didn't have a TV. He did have music, so, I mean, you could have a record player. And I was like, okay, I don't know where this is. I probably missed the little title thing where it said, what city and state and probably even what year. But I was like, I have no idea where this is. And the woman, she's actually concocting something in her kitchen, and it's like, just throw this and this and this. And I was like, oh, she thinks he's having like just a medical issue. And then she didn't, and she was like, hey, and she did an actual spell. And I was like, what? Like, I was so confused by that opening because I thought, all right, these are the people that die, and the baby will be taken or something like that. And it was like, nope, she knew exactly what was happening. She knew the spell. She cut her hand and did the spell for the sigil and everything and got rid of her. And I was like, oh, this just completely flipped my whole idea as to what is happening in this opening. So I kind of liked the opening for kind of throwing me for a loop because I was super confused. And like I said, I probably just missed all the text, which would have explained everything, and I wouldn't have been confused. But I definitely was when it first started. And then, Eileen being deafened by that as a baby, I thought was pretty interesting. I thought that was a really cool way to say this is why she's a deaf character, and she was found by a hunter, and then she was trained as a hunter. And unfortunately, she had been on her own since she was 16, and the woman that trained her died of cancer. And we find out she's a legacy of the Men of Letters, so we're definitely getting her back, which I'm really excited for. So we get to see Eileen come back again. She may or may not find out more about the Men of Letters. I don't know if they'll go back and do a scene where it's like, hey, this is the Men of Letters. If they kind of just bring her back for an episode or something, I don't know. But I thought it was great how they did that. I thought that was very interesting, and we find out that, and I'm still a little bit confused. I guess the only thing I could think of, because it was officially going after the father, but I guess once the baby cried, it switched, so it was screaming, at the baby, and then with it being a very young baby, it couldn't stand that pressure, and it went deaf. But I thought it was cool that they did that, and then it going after vulnerable people led it to Dean at the end, and that it just says so much, and I loved it. It was like this whole episode, they're just bits and pieces all over the place. It was, Sam and Dean, had certain moments, and then, Dean and Cass, or, Dean and Lucifer, and it was really good. I was surprised that they did that at the end, and the Banshee went after Dean. And of course he plays it off like they always do. And I think even Sam did that, yeah, when they were digging the first grave, which I definitely want to talk about that. But, he mentions, like, he's not okay, but he doesn't want to talk about it. And I was surprised he was so honest. Really, I was surprised he even said, I'm not alright. Because they always, either Dean says, oh, you're imagining something, or Sam says, no, I'm fine. That's exactly what they do all the time. And Dean, of course, he did that at the end, but they at least changed it up a little bit with Sam. And he was like, I'm not fine, because he's still not 100% sure about the Lucifer Amara thing. But he just admits, like, I don't want to talk about it. And I like that. I was like, that's not something they normally do. He normally hides it because they both hide everything from each other, even though they shouldn't at this point. They still do. But he just admitted it and was like, I feel like crap, but I don't want to talk about why I feel like crap. And they just moved past it. But Dean freaking out and having these worries that, like with Sam saying, like, we probably won't even live that long to, come to a nice retirement home and stuff. That affected him. And his attraction, whatever is going on between him and Amara really affected him. And wondering if anything is going to work in general is affecting him. And that made him so vulnerable in a mental state. And I just love that they played on that at the end of the episode. And then I love the ending shot when the music starts playing and they're going to sleep. And he's just trying to sleep, and then he just gets up and he's just sitting like, man, I'm so vulnerable that this spirit came after me. Like, more vulnerable than a woman who's taking, meds to survive. Or, at least for like a part of her organ or something. I can't remember exactly what she had. But over this woman, I'm targeted as the vulnerable one just because of, what's going on in my head. So I love that they played on that. I thought it was really well done. I wish I could remember this song, but I do remember enjoying the song. It wasn't a song I don't believe I've ever heard before, but it was definitely a fitting song for the ending. And it has me very excited for this next episode. I just loved everything about this one. What I mentioned with them digging the grave in the beginning, this is just, once again, it was like Sam and Dean always denying basically their feelings. Them going after the first just instantaneous clue that they get, that's a part of what they do. That's automatic. But I felt this episode did it in record time. They talked to the guy Arthur. It felt like it was a split second to me. It was like, I got the records. Like, oh, the first person he picked up was like, yep, they had a vengeance on him. It was probably that guy. Let's burn his body. And I was like, that seemed like it was the fastest they've ever gotten to burning a body in an episode. I was like, I know they do that a lot, and I feel like we haven't seen that in a while, actually, where they do the first mistaken body. And I would love an episode where someone was just like, you think this is the wrong body? Because they never ever say that. It's always like, that's probably it. I think the only time they did something close to that was the episode with focused on like all inside a baby, and it was like, well, what could possibly go wrong? I'm pretty sure it was in that episode. And same sort of deal, like what could go wrong? And then disaster strikes. Same thing with them always burning the first body or burning the first item of the very first person that they think it is. I would love for that to be the answer. I think that has been maybe once, possibly twice, but it is so uncommon. And I do think they've done it at least one time before, for sure. But I just felt like that was record time in this episode. I don't know why, but I was like, man, I think it was only like maybe 10 minutes into the episode, and it had to have been maybe 7 minutes into their case, because the whole thing with Lucifer was probably a big chunk of, the beginning of the episode, and them actually getting the case and going there. It was like, all right, talk to this guy. I'm counting, Dean talking to Arthur and Sam checking out checking out the actual apartment room. That's one scene. Scene two, they have the files, and then within a minute of that scene, it was like, oh, he probably stayed his vengeance. Scene three, they're burning the body. I was like, that has to be record time. I could easily be wrong, but I was like, that was some of the fastest wrong body burning they've ever done in this show. But ultimately, it was a funny moment to me, really, that led into like a really amazing episode. So I love this one. It's definitely one of my favorites. Like, this season honestly has been a great one. Like, I know a lot of people have been like, this is just a great one in a long time, and it has been, for sure. I've enjoyed a lot of the stuff from the previous seasons, but I mean, like, the episode, just everything said in the car, that just sounds like a terrible premise, and it was like one of the best episodes this season. And then this episode, it was just really well done, and a lot of the other sort of one-off type of episodes where it's like a little hint at the main story, but ultimately it's just, a monster of the week. And it's been working like crazy this season. I've been loving it, and this was definitely up there. One of my favorite episodes just in general, especially as, one of the, monster of the week episodes. Definitely up there. One of the funniest for sure. Like I said, really love the design. I would love to see that monster come back. I don't know how, but I hope they maybe do a Banshee that looks very similar or something. At least facially speaking, she doesn't have to have like the same, creepy flowing dress, but just the design of the face and the, floating hair and stuff, it just looked great. I was like, that just personifies just a creepy ghost image, even though obviously it was a Banshee. But I really love this episode. Obviously, it was just a really good one. Love the new characters. I don't think we'll see, unfortunately, I doubt we'll be getting both the ladies coming back. We'll most likely get Eileen for sure, but sadly, I don't know if we'll be going back, to the care home and getting both of them again. I mean, Eileen wouldn't even be staying there because she was only doing that for the case, so she wouldn't be there, of course. But, I mean, it was only 15 minutes away. Kind of easy. So, maybe we'll get them both back, maybe we won't. But they've definitely introduced some great characters in this, one of which is guaranteed to come back, Eileen, for sure. So, looking forward to seeing her in whatever future episode. Oddly enough, with them introducing at least one character we know for sure in Eileen that's going to return, I can't wait to see the next episode where we get 3 characters returning, and I don't know how they're going to do it, but the first thing I thought was, Cass can't have, the fatherly moment like he did before, because it's not Cass. So I would love to see Lucifer kind of play in the field, and I don't know what he'd do. Like, he'd have to stand out because just because of the last episode, it's like him being like sort of fatherly Cass. That's not gonna be Lucifer. He's gonna say like, oh, you want to do this or kill this or fight that, go ahead. So he might not be in it too much, unfortunately, with Sam and Dean. But we got 3 characters coming back that I certainly enjoy. Seemingly a lot of big stuff is coming up. Obviously, one thing I'm really looking forward to, which I don't know if they'll do it, but I'm looking forward to getting some answers on that little angel sect that was introduced in the last season, and those specific, the 12 angels or whatever that have those blades. I forgot what they were called, that section of angels, but want some answers on that. I think I saw it in the trailer, so really looking forward to getting an answer on that, even if we don't. We have 3 very interesting characters all together for one time. I'm definitely drawing blanks on names for sure. All I can think of is Jodie. I can remember Jodie, but I definitely can't remember the vampire girl that she's adopted. I couldn't possibly begin to think of her name. And Cass's daughter, I honestly can't remember her name either. But looking forward to seeing all 3 of them come back. It should be interesting for sure. Like, I can't wait to see just how they all work together. And I do want some answers on that angel blade, because that was something. It was just like, here's an episode. Oh yeah, rogue angels, and then nothing. So maybe a clue this episode. Doesn't have to be everything, but maybe a clue next time. But really looking forward to it. Obviously, Really love this episode. Of course, want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and I want to know what you guys thought about the Banshee in this episode. The Banshee, Eileen, both ladies, as well as Lucifer. Um, Listen, really, I want to know what you guys thought about Lucifer actually working hard to find Amara and kind of take her down. Like I said, I was really surprised by that. Obviously, everything else is no question. Of just I loved everything else. Lucifer just really kind of blew me away. I was like, he's so studious. It's Lucifer. Like I mean, he drank some angel's blood. He was just like, that was his. That was like an opening in this episode, and then he went from that to like studying. So it's weird transition for him in this episode, but great. But definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below and let me know. And thanks for watching.